I'm Josh Collin, Senior Vice President of Development Services for HRI Properties. Like many of my colleagues at HRI, I've had the pleasure of working on these two blocks for the last 10 years. It's been lots of hard work, and we're excited to be at this advanced stage and to welcome everybody for the restoration commencement ceremony for the Capitol Art Lofts. We'll be turning 7 buildings on this block into 31 units of affordable housing and gallery space and creative economic development facility. Partnership and collaboration has been really what's happened, what's made all of the King Edward and Standard Life and the Capitol Street happen. And we've had no bigger partner in our collaboration here than the state of Mississippi. So it's with great pleasure and deep gratitude that I introduce to you Governor Phil Bryant.
Thank you, Josh, and good morning. As most of you, all of you know, we've had devastating storms that have struck the Pine Belt. I will be leaving immediately and going to that location to begin to continue to help organize the effort. It has been remarkable, the volunteers, the first responders that are there, but I can assure you, Mississippi will come back, as will the Pine Belt, William Carey. We will make sure that it is better than ever. But I felt it was important to take a few moments this morning before I leave to come here. This Capitol Art Loft is something that has been personally important to me. As you know, I live just down the street. So this is my neighborhood. This is the street upon which I live, which my grandchildren play. So we want to make sure that we have every effort to revitalize this beautiful downtown Jackson. As a child, I would come to this street and in amazement see the tall buildings. There's not many tall buildings in Sunflower County, Mississippi. So we thought these skyscrapers were amazing. The shops, the activity, the theaters, the music and entertainment that was all part of this wonderful Capitol Street. It will be here again. And part of that will be here today with these Capitol Lofts. I want to thank HRI. This is a company that has been dedicated to the revitalization of downtown Jackson for many years now. We would not have the beautiful King Edward without HRI. We would not be able to do this without their partnership and the partnership of the city. I want to thank Senator Blunt for being here today. He is continually working to help his district and the people within it. Councilwoman Margaret Barrett-Simone. Councilwoman Barrett-Simone is a force of nature. And when she makes her mind up to do something, or she happens to call or interact with me, I just go ahead and try to get that done, because I know it needs to be done, and she will not stop until it is completed. The Chase Bank, we're proud to have them here. Tom, again, with HRI, and Scott Spivey, the Executive Director of Mississippi Housing Corporation. Mississippi Home Corporation is something that is under the authority of the Governor's office with a wonderful board. But we believe that we can make a difference in the cities throughout this state with affordable housing. We have been working hard within our medical zone here in Mississippi. The Helms Place, as some of you may realize, just at the end of Ferris Street, was recently selected as the #1 housing project in the United States of America. Now, I believe perhaps within a year or so, you will see the Lofts recognized for the same outstanding determination and partnership from the state and city and local and business level to make this a reality. Again, thank y'all for having me. I'm going to have to leave now and head to the Pine Belt, and I will give you, I will ask you and give you one last message. If you have an opportunity to say a kind word to the Lord, Bishop, there are people that are hurting there, and they need our help and our prayers and our support, and we're going to do just that. Thank you. God bless you all.
The Mississippi legislature took action last year to approve additional funding for the very important Historic Preservation Tax Credit. A special thanks to our friends with the Department of Archives and History for all their hard work educating the various legislators on the economic development power of historic preservation. One legislator that intuitively understands preservation and its importance to downtowns, because this is his district and he's very much active here. And a great supporter of ours is Senator David Blount. So please welcome Senator.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much. It's an exciting day for Jackson and for Mississippi, and I'm very happy to be here. I am especially grateful to Governor Bryant for being here. He has a lot on his plate right now dealing with the situation down in Hattiesburg and Petal, and very grateful for his support. A lot of folks might doubt whether parties can actually work together. People from different political parties can actually work together right now in the United States of America and get things done. And I believe that we can. The Historic Tax Credit Project is a good example of that. Governor Bryant, Lieutenant Governor Reeves, Speaker Gunn, all of us got together to try to do something for our city, for the betterment of Jackson, which is for the good of the state. And our mayor is here. Mayor Yarber is here. I want to recognize him. Thank you for coming, Mayor. I also want to thank the governor for his remarks for our ongoing effort to improve infrastructure in the state capitol. If you've read the governor's executive budget recommendation, you know that he understands the benefits of improving infrastructure here in Jackson, and I'm optimistic, again, with a bipartisan effort in the legislature this year, that we can force the state to help with the infrastructure cost here around the Capitol, where the state has a substantial investment. We have a substantial investment here because Jackson is the capital for everybody in Mississippi. And there are probably people in the United States of America who are skeptical about Mississippi. And there are probably people in the state of Mississippi who are skeptical about Jackson. But I'm here to tell you, you can look across the street, you can look at Democrats and Republicans working together to show that we can get things done here in Jackson, and that's for the good of everybody in Jackson, and that's for the good of everybody in Mississippi, and I hope we can continue to do that in this legislative session this year. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everybody who's been a part of this project. It's great news for Jackson, and I'm happy to be here.
Said earlier that we've been at hard work at this neighborhood transformation for over 10 years. Lots of folks have been by our side. I can look out there and see folks like White Construction. Certainly Leland Speed has been a great advisor over the years. But I think no person has been more consistently by our side, giving good counsel, good advice, very, very strong supports than our wonderful Councilwoman, Margaret Barrett-Simone. So without further ado, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think I need this down a little bit. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want to say that this is a long time coming, this project right here. This Capital Arts project is a major development for downtown Jackson. This project clearly serves the multiple public goals of affordable housing, blight elimination, historic preservation, and economic development through stimulating the creative economy, which, by the way, is the stated mission of HRI. There were times when we really weren't sure that this was going to happen. As Josh said, we have been at this since 2002. It seems like a long, long time. We, at times, were not sure whether, we could accomplish this, but we were committed to it. We understood the history of this area. Some of these buildings were built in the 1850s. Having introduced the first historic preservation ordinance ever in the city of Jackson, this was very, very important to me. We started out, I remember Senator Cochran and I were on this next corner, and we were cutting the ribbon for the train station. At that time, we wore little engineer's hats and we had train whistles. And we were so excited about the possibilities here in this west end of Capitol Street. And then along came HRI. And HRI saw the vision that we saw. Thad and I stood there and talked about, you know, Margaret, this is such a great project over here, but we've got to do more. We've got to protect the investment that we have. HRI, who I think are the only people that loved these buildings more than I did and saw the potential, they knew that we had to protect what we had. They began here, they did the Standard Life building, and then we began the saga of the Art Lofts projects. This will be so instrumental. We have so much of the creative class living in the city of Jackson, and to have affordable housing for them right here on our Capitol Street is just a blessing that we just can hardly believe. I want to thank also not only the governor and all the people at the state of Mississippi that helped us with this project, but my dear friend Sidney Barthélemy, who's the former mayor of New Orleans, and we've worked together on projects for many, many years. Press Kabakov also could not be here today. He and Sidney are gallivanting around the country looking for another project right now. And I'm sure it will be equally as nice as this. I have to tell you one story about my history here. My father was born here in 1907. And he lived in the downtown area. He watched the King Edward Hotel being built. And he told me once, Margaret, don't ever let anything happen to that building. As a young man, I watched them drive the pilings into the ground, and no dynamite will ever blow it up. Well, we had a mayor once that threatened often with a bulldozer. And one of his threats was that he was going to, in the middle of the night, he was going to bulldoze this building. So I told several of the police officers, if you ever hear about him in the middle of the night getting a bulldozer ready, call me, because I will be laid out in the middle of the street, because never he'd have to run over me to take it down. And now today, we can rejoice in this incredible project, and this will stabilize this entire end of downtown Jackson. I want to thank all of you from HRI and your commitment to this project, and for never giving up. And we just rejoice in this day. Thank you all so much. I see our mayor here, Mayor Yarber.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Speaking of mayors, Mayor Tony Yarber, let's bring him up. He understands historic preservation. No bulldozers in his arsenal. Come on up.
Good morning. Let me first of all say how much of a privilege it is to be here and to see this project finally underway. Councilwoman talked about the saga of this project. Well, it's indeed been a saga, and fortunately we're able to see it actually about to come to fruition. There is an untold story about what's happening in downtown Jackson. And HRI has been a part of that untold story, and it's a story that we're not talking about as loudly as we should be talking. And HRI has not only been a part of that, but as the state of Mississippi has seen fit to also invest in what's happening in downtown Jackson. What we're starting to see is a resurgence of a downtown that's looking forward to people like the folks who will be living and working and playing in this Art Loft, who are actually seeing the vitality in downtown Jackson, particularly on this end. Councilwoman shared a story with you about her father and about this building, and I laughed a little bit because Councilwoman, it wasn't my father, but my great-grandfather was born in 1908. And he had a story, not necessarily similar, but his story was about coming and having to skip over Capitol Street when they came into downtown Jackson. What this Art Lofts means to me is an opportunity where the citizens, not only of Jackson, but the citizens in the state of Mississippi see a place where all people have an opportunity to participate in the very rich culture that is exhibited right here in the state of Mississippi. I'm sorry, right here in the city of Jackson, in the state of Mississippi. So this Art Lofts, it represents resurgence. This Art Lofts represents the opportunity for us to see a thriving Jackson and a Jackson that people can believe in. But more than that, what HRI's commitment says is that Jackson is a place where if you simply look around at what's going on, whether you're talking about Helm or whether you're talking about what's happening in South Jackson with housing, housing is on the front end. It's on the front end of our priorities for Jackson being exactly what it can and should be. Thank you again. Looking forward to seeing this building and this place being a place where all of Jacksonians can be proud of.
Speaking of housing, as we go around the country and work with various housing corporations and housing finance authorities, we have found the Mississippi Home Corporation to be an exemplary institution. The hardworking men and women, the staff of that corporation really are its lifeblood, and I'd like to introduce their dynamic executive director, Scott Spivey.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman, Senator. This is one of the developments that we're going to be really excited to see get completed. You know, our mission is providing safe, decent, and affordable housing for all Mississippians around the state. We've been fortunate enough to be able to do several deals lately in Jackson. This is one that's, you know, near and dear to my heart too, as a resident of our capital city. Affordable housing is just the beginning, and I think this is a perfect example of the way that housing can also affect economic development, stabilization, revitalization. It's really a foundation, and I think the way that the program works and the way that we've worked well with HRI, who's been a great partner. Chase is here. They're, you know, it takes a lot of different people to make these things happen. Several people have alluded to the long road to get here. I love a good groundbreaking, but I love a ribbon cutting even better. So I hope everybody will be here, you know, in a year or two when this thing is finally up and running. Thanks, everybody, and give it back to Josh.
We do hard projects, complicated projects, and I think I talked to no shorter than 10 different lenders about this project, looking for $6 million of capital. And after going through, talking to several folks, I went back to where I started, which is with William Callahan, who happened to switch banks during that time period. And William Callahan, who's vice president of Chase Bank, has never shied away from complexity or complicated, difficult structured finance projects. And once again, we owe William and Chase Bank for believing in us, believing in this project, and providing the private capital to help make it happen.
Thank you, Josh, and I don't really shy away. You just keep calling me. Congratulations for doing that. It's a pleasure to be here today to help celebrate this groundbreaking. As a leader in community development and affordable housing, Chase is committed to financing projects that are responsive to the changing needs of the communities where people work and where they live. And that includes serving the needs of those in America's cities like Jackson. We support community revitalization efforts by partnering with community leaders in public and private sectors. And we take pride in being a good corporate citizen by providing financing and equity investments for the development of affordable housing across the country. That includes adaptive reuse developments like this Capitol Art Lofts building. That will enhance the quality of life in the surrounding community. I also want to let you know that since 2014, Chase has financed 350 units of workforce housing in Mississippi, and that includes both urban and rural, places like the Delta and here in Jackson. It's an honor to be part of this event, and we look forward to continuing our long partnership with this team, and I also look forward to the ribbon cutting, which I guess will be in the summer, right? Thank you all.
last but not least, our final speaker is President and CEO of HRI Properties and a great mentor to me personally, Todd Leonard.
I wish this was in the sun a little bit because it's cold in the shade. I can tell you that. And first off, we're going to celebrate the ribbon cutting ceremony not in a couple of years, this year. That's the key. We'll make sure White Construction, we're our friends at White. We didn't give them an extension because of this. We call it a bricklaying ceremony because there's no real ground to break. But I will say that the groundbreaking part of this project is the impact it'll have on downtown Jackson and on the beautiful King Edward project. And I will say that one promise that you guys can all walk away with knowing today is when HRI Properties focuses on a project, we're going to make sure it's done well. We aim to exceed expectations and set a new standard in communities for reaching out and really having impactful projects. You know, these projects, this project was 10 years in the making. I was telling a friend of mine, I've been with HRI now 28 years. My first road trip was to come look at the King Edward when it was empty, and I couldn't get in the building because it was unsafe. And it's really gratifying to be here today in the shadow of the King Edward, even though it's a little cold, and see what we can do with these buildings. And I can tell you that when they're completed, they're going to be spectacular and really add a lot to downtown Jackson. And I want to just say a couple of thank yous. First, thank you to the governor for being here and being such a great supporter, to the Mississippi Home Corporation, to the senator, to the councilwoman, to the mayor. These are tough projects, and they take a lot of partnership between a lot of different interests, but they don't happen without that partnership. And one thing I would ask everyone here to recognize, to make the city of Jackson a vibrant and revitalized city, will take that partnership like this project has exhibited. If the partnership is there, great things can happen in downtown Jackson. If the partnership is not there, those things won't happen. And so I would ask that partnership, use this project as an example of great things that can happen in downtown Jackson. And being from New Orleans, we see the same issues, potholes and crime and all the unfortunate things. But it can be turned around, but it takes partnership to make it reality. I'm so confident that can happen here, and we're very, very pleased to be here. I also want to say one other thing. Josh Collin has been our champion, and one guy that gets a tremendous call out from my point of view is his patience and perseverance. This is a tough project, and he's been working on it for 5 years, and congratulations to Josh, and thank you to everyone at HRI Properties and our partners at Chase, Aegon Capital Management, White Construction, and everyone else who's touched the project. It's going to be a very wonderful day when we're here to cut the ribbon. Thank you all for coming. I also want to thank our partners at the King Edward who've hosted a little reception. We're going to do a little reception after we lay some ceremonial bricks. Brian Berry and his team, thank you very much for hosting us. And so I think that's what we're going to do now. Is that right? Is there anybody else? No? Okay, so we're gonna lay some bricks, and these bricks are going to not support the building, but they're going to contribute to its rebuilding. So we again, thank you very much for being here.